Good day, grade threes. This is Teacher Ziad back again with another episode of English for you. The lesson that I prepared for you today is about comparative and superlative adverbs. So, you guys should remember that we did comparative and superlative adjectives before. So, some of the same rules apply. I'm going to share a presentation with you that takes you through some of the rules for comparative and superlative adverbs, and then we'll take it from there. You also have this on your Readers and Writers Notebook on page 353, which I will show you. So if I just show you this page over here, this is page 353 of your English Readers and Writers Notebook, and it speaks about comparative and superlative adjectives. I will take you through this in my next video, which is going to be all about a revision and the activities. So I'm going to do the activities for the grammar and then the activities for your vocabulary as well. So I'm going to just minimize this or minimize that, and then I'm going to bring up another screen for you, which is all about comparative and superlative adverbs. So you guys, we did adverbs last week, and if you remember everything that we've done online last week, and if you refer to the YouTube videos that I put up about adverbs, it is basically describing an action or describing a verb or something that's being done, how something gets done, where something gets done, or when something gets done. Those are adverbs. So in order for us to pay complete attention and understand this lesson, you must make sure that you know exactly what our adverbs are or what adverbs are. So I'm going to jump right in, and like I mentioned, the rules are pretty similar than that of the comparative and superlative adverbs. Remember, adjectives. So remember how comparative and superlative adjectives were example big, bigger, biggest. This one is a bit different, but I'll take you through it, and it's pretty simple to understand. So it's a bit easier than the adjectives as well. So previously we learned about comparing adjectives. So remember that adjectives describe nouns. So big, bigger, biggest. The big boy, one boy was bigger than the other, and this boy is the biggest in the classroom. So we're comparing different things. So the one of the rules that remain the same is the following. So big is when you're referring to one person. Bigger is when you are basically comparing two people or two things to each other. And when we use the superlative form, which is biggest, when we have est at the end of the word, then you are comparing three or more things to each other, right? So today we will learn about comparing adverbs to each other. And remember that adverbs describe actions. And the actions that we will be looking at is a few examples that I've extracted from online resources. So it's not ones I've created myself, but it's pretty good. So I'm going to take you through it step by step, also with the rules, etc. And then we'll take it from there. So the very first one over here, I've got an example. Abdurrahman works hard. Work being our verb, and hard being our adverb, right? So remember to identify your verb in your sentence first. That way you can identify your adverb, which is the word that describes how the action is taking place. So remember how to identify that. We did this in last week's lesson as well. And if you get stuck, you can simply refer to the adverbs video that's also on the same channel. And don't forget to subscribe as well so you don't lose the content. So the very first set of rules for comparative and superlative adverbs, remember that when adverbs describe how things are taking place, it ends in an ly, right? So with short adverbs that do not end in ly, comparative and superlative forms are identical to adjectives. So exactly the same as the previous lesson that we did in the classroom about comparative and superlative adjectives. We add an er to the end of the word for the comparative form, and we add an est to the end of the word for the superlative form. So I've got a couple of examples up on the screen. So our adverbs are hard, fast, and late. So comparative, hard, harder there we add our ER, as you can see over here. And for our superlative form, we add our EST, and that word is hardest. So the next example is fast. We've got faster, fastest, late, later, and latest. And just to reiterate or repeat again, comparative form where the word ends in ER, you need to know that it compares two things to each other, and superlative compares three or more things, right? So our examples below here, Jim works harder than his brother. Notice we've got the comparative form of the word and we are comparing Jim with his brother. So we've got two people that we're comparing. Second example, everyone in the race ran fast, but John ran the fastest. Here we've got the superlative form and we are comparing John, who ran the fastest of all. So John is being compared to everyone else. So that is three or more. So we make use of the superlative form. So exactly the same for short adverbs as the adjectives. It just, you add an ER for comparative and an EST for superlative. So that rule remains exactly the same for adjectives as well as adverbs. Here things get a bit more interesting where we don't add ER and where we don't add EST to the comparative or superlative form. So words or verbs, adverbs that end in ly, you need to add the word more to the comparative form and you add the word most for the superlative form. So again, the basic rule for comparative and superlative, comparative is comparing two or more, and superlative you're comparing one to a lot of people, or you're comparing three or more things. So here, when an adverb ends in ly, this is pretty simple. You're basically adding the word more to the comparative form and most to the superlative form. I'm just repeating myself to make sure that it sinks in. So our very first example says quietly. Comparative form says more quietly, and superlative most quietly. Slowly, more slowly, most slowly. Seriously, more seriously, and most seriously. Here are two examples as well to make you understand a bit better. The teacher spoke more slowly to help us to understand. So the adverb is describing that she's speaking slower than what she was speaking. So here we're describing how things are taking place. So first she spoke slow, then she spoke more slowly. Second example, could you sing more quietly, please? Here again, we are making use of the comparative form of the adverb. So could you sing more slowly? So this is a question someone's asking. If you wanted to find out a superlative form of an adverb in a sentence, you could maybe say, Abdurrahman spoke most quietly out of the entire class. So there we comparing one person to many people, and that's the superlative form using the word most in front of the adverb, and comparative we use the word more in front of the adverb. And then the next one, some adverbs have irregular comparative and superlative forms. So we didn't touch this when we did the comparative and superlative forms of the adjectives, but with adverbs, we have words like badly, far, little, and well. So these don't get the word more or most added to it. We don't also add an ER or an EST to the end of the word to make it comparative or superlative. We simply change the word completely. So these are exceptions to the other words you have learned and how we change from an adverb to the comparative or the superlative form. So these you have to remember. So it says badly, worse, and worst. Far becomes farther or further, and then farthest or furthest. Little becomes less or least, and well becomes better and best. You can also have an adverb that says good, so it is good, better, best. So comparative adverbs and adjectives are similar in the sense where the word well or good is concerned. So how did you write? I wrote very well. I wrote better than the last time, or this was the best exam out of all of them. So these are our exceptions to our rules for comparative and superlative adverbs. And here are some examples at the bottom. The little boy ran farther than his friends. That is comparative because it is an ER here, and it is basically how this is set out. This will never change. This is just something that you need to remember. And then the second one, you're driving worse than yesterday. Also, the word worse is comparative. And then the last one, he played the best of any player. And here, the best meaning, it is superlative, and someone is comparing the player to the best out of his team, so it's many people. So those three examples refer to our irregular comparative and superlative forms. And like I said, these are some of the words you just have to remember. The others, you apply rules to where you add the word more or most, like on the previous slide. And on the one before this, we add er and est when we have short adverbs. So with this, you also have an activity in your Readers and Writers Notebook, like I showed you on your grammar book, which I will show you in your Readers and Writers Notebook, which I will show you again. This is the Readers and Writers Notebook. We have an exercise for your grammar, which is your comparative and superlative adverbs. And over here, like I said, I will tackle this with you in a separate video as well, so that this video doesn't take up too much of your time. And you also have some examples in your grammar book. But I'm going to end the share, and then I will see you when we get to our next video, when we go through the activities for your vocabulary as well as your grammar. I'll see you next time, kids.